Dear all, welcome to hrtech's demo or August 2023 edition. Organized by hrtech and powered by Archily. Archily is globally recognized as a trusted partner for parsing, matching, and enriching data for numerous corporations. Today, we will highlight the benefits of harnessing technology in ESOP management and to attract and retain top talent. Our singular goal. Our singular goal has always been to create a tech driven and data centric HR ecosystem for driving successful workplace and talent transformation that will enable organizations to grow and HR teams to become strategic business partners. Before we jump into the demo, a quick overview of us. We are a Singapore headquartered HR tech market development and analyst firm. We were set up in 2018 in Singapore. Since then, we have expanded to India and the Middle East to help HR teams identify tech solutions for their business and HR challenges. Application of technology across the employee lifecycle. Technology has revolutionized every phase of the employee lifecycle, enhancing HR processes across the board. From talent planning and acquisition to engagement and development, technology streamlines operations. Notably in total rewards, advanced tools like total compensation planning systems ensure accurate and transparent remuneration structures. Earned wage access platforms provide financial flexibility, while equity compensation management systems simplify the administration of stock based incentives. Demo. hrtech embarked on the hrtech Demo event series in 2019 to evangelize and promote the use of HR technologies. The event provides a platform for HR technology providers to showcase their high-tech solutions. We have done various demo art events focused on specific topics such as leveraging tech for university hiring, R&R for hybrid workforce, conversational AI in HR, and many more. Market trends. Why this session is the need of the hour. We aim to discuss the escalating importance of utilizing technology in ESOP management to attract and retain talent. A well curated ESOP paired with efficient communication empowers firms to attract talent even when contending with larger, higher paying corporations. ESOPs can attract candidates who resonate with your organizational mission and culture, influencing their choice to align with your team. We are thrilled that we, as a part of our HR panel, to witness the demos and clarify questions on behalf of many HR professionals who will be watching this on an on-demand format. We are highly delighted to host Shanli Sundar, VP HR of Pixar Park. To present the demos, we have Vikram from Qapita.
Thanks a lot, Vanshita, and a pleasure to speak in front of all of you today. Just a quick overview of what we do at Qapita. We are an end-to-end equity/ESOP solutions provider. We primarily today operate in India and Southeast Asia, but are expanding to Middle East, US, and Australia as well. Our intervention starts right from an advisory sort of position, where we help companies design and implement employee stock ownership programs, including decision on structure, allocations, benchmarking with similar companies. Our consulting and advisory practice extends to ESOP valuations, advisory on compliance and accounting as well. What I'm going to demo today is our equity management platform to help HR administrators manage their compliances, manage their records, and automate their processes surrounding ESOPs, and helps employees in terms of understanding the value of their ESOPs and automates processes for employees as well. We also operate a digital marketplace to provide liquidity to ESOP holders. We help companies implement and roll out structured liquidity programs where we automate the processes there as well through a separate module. And we are even able to syndicate demand for the supply coming in the form of ESOPs through a network of investors. So that's a bit about what we do at Qapita. I will share my screen and I will walk through our equity management platform. So I use the term equity management because our platform covers ownership in all forms, ownership with investors. So there's a cap table management module. But for the purpose of our session, I will focus more on the ESOP management side. What you're seeing today, what you're seeing right now is our admin view. This is a view for the HR administrator or anyone from the finance team or for the founder in terms of having a bird's eye view of the ESOP position in the company as of today, including how much has been granted to employees, how much what is available in the pool to grant, overview of the awardees, and just a time series of the grants. So I'll jump into our workflows surrounding ESOP automation. So starts from creation of an ESOP pool. So this is something which the board and the shareholders will approve. that is captured on our system. The pool can be subdivided into multiple ESOP plans. So I can have a separate ESOP plan for my senior management. I can have one for my sort of broader team. I can have an RSU or an SAR or a phantom stock plan running in parallel with my ESOP scheme, and all of that is captured on our system here. If I go into any one sort of scheme, I can see the data which is captured, which is basically what is the approved pool size here. Is there any standard vesting which is followed at a scheme level? Although you can customize vesting at a grant level as well. Is the ESOP being administered by an ESOP trust or a SPV? What are the separation policies of the company? So in the event an employee separates, how should the vested and unvested ESOPs be treated? The treatment is different if it's a resignation or if it's a termination with cause or death, disability, etc. And the calculation of all of this is automated because we capture the logic on our system here. So once I have my plan logic set up, you can see how the record keeping surrounding ESOPs is automated here. So I have, let's say 23 ESOP holders. I can track multiple grants per ESOP holder, how much has been granted, and as on date, how much is vested, remains unvested, exercise cancelled, etc. And I can see this for all my continuing employees, which are live, as you can see with the green tick. I can track my terminated employees as well. Some of them may still be holding vested ESOPs based on the scheme parameters, or how many employees are pending approval, how many employees are pending acceptance, etc. At an individual grant level, we capture details of when the grant was made, what is the strike price, how many ESOPs were granted, and the vesting schedule itself. We have the ability to capture complexity such as time-based and performance-based vesting. So I can embed a performance condition into any of these specific tranches, and only if the performance condition is met will this tranche actually vest for the employee. The process of giving out a new grant is fairly simple on our system. It becomes a paperless process. So if I want to trigger a certain grant, let's say to an employee, in this case, Soya Sen, from my, let's say, ESOP 2020 scheme, as on current date, at, let's say, a 10 rupee excise price, and I want to give 100 ESOPs to this employee. So I can see what my pool balance remains after this grant. Vesting can be templatized, so I can have what is a very standard yearly vesting over 4 years, which is 25% every year for 4 years. But I can have this done on a monthly or a quarterly basis as well. So vesting can be customized even beyond this. Every individual tranche can be customized here. My separation policy also can be customized at an individual grant level. I may want to make exceptions for certain employees when it comes to the separation policies. We can capture additional information at grant level. This can be maybe the legal entity where the employee is being employed, department, seniority, location, and multiple things, which will be useful from a reporting perspective. And we have a digital signature enabled approval workflow. So the system will generate the grant letter automatically. So you can see the PDF, which will, let's say, have the company's logo and the specifics of the grant which is being made to Zoya Sen. So I can see here 100 ESOPs, 10 rupee excise price for the quarterly vesting. Now I can designate someone from the company's side to approve this to sign on behalf of the company, and then it goes to the employee for counter signature. We are integrated DocuSign for this, so the entire process is legally treated as complete once the employee signs signs and indicates acceptance for the ESOP. So I can further go ahead and I can trigger this grant here, or I can save it as a draft like a maker and checker and have someone else approve and trigger the grants. What I'm basically showing you is the UI version, but the same process can be done through bulk upload as well. So all of this information can be put on an Excel. The system can read that Excel and trigger the grants from here. We also have useful tools for the finance team. So there is an ESOP expense amortization module here. The fair valuation of the ESOPs we can help from our consulting team. But once I have the fair value updated in the system, our system will actually throw up an Excel file, which can be used to record the cost to be shown in the P&L and will be useful from an audit perspective as well. We have a variety of reports for the administrative user. So I can pull out reports here on the basis of the total grants given out in a year, or I can pull out a vest-wise summary where every line item represents an element of vesting. When it comes to jurisdictions like India, we even automate a few compliance reports, like the ESOP register, which is statutorily required to be maintained. So this is basically the admin view, but a lot of the value of the platform also comes in as employees access the platform, it's a useful tool for the companies and HR administrators to engage with the employees, primarily to help employees understand the wealth creation journey they have as they sort of scale with the company. So if I log in as an employee, I can see the value of my ESOPs. There's a certain value as of today. There can be announcements customized for employees as they log in. I get a quick overview of how much has been vested, how much remains unvested for me. And this is just a widget to communicate as to how the value is calculated. So my ESOPs are worth 11 million rupees today at a certain share price, 20,000 rupees, which could be the share price based on my last round valuation. But the employee can also project this price in the future to say, if I expect the company to grow 3x in terms of share valuation, then the ESOPs which I hold today actually represents the 33 million rupees in terms of that. Now I have vested only a certain quantum of it, almost 20 million rupees remains unvested. That is my opportunity cost in case I take a decision to leave the company. So the employee is really able to run scenarios and understand as to what the wealth creation journey for himself or herself is going to be as they sort of stay back in the company. We have other widgets as here. This is a customizable dashboard. So I can show a quick overview of what the ESOPs were worth, the grant was made, and what the ESOPs are worth today. So what is the wealth creation I'm seeing for myself across each of my individual grants here. And a similar sort of view for shares as well. So as an employee exercises their ESOPs, becomes a shareholder, what shareholding do I have and what is the value of those shares? So this is at a very summary level. We can get into a more detailed view at an individual grant level for an employee. So pretty much the information which you see, which you saw at the admin level, is also replicated for employees at an individual grant level. So I'm able to really see every individual grant record. So similar to what you saw there, when was a grant made? What is a signed grant letter that will appear as an attachment here? Where am I from a vesting perspective? When can my vesting expect to complete at an individual grant level? We have a vesting simulator as well to say in the next 1 or 2 years, what do I see my vesting? How do I see my vesting move? And how long should I stay in the company for me to vest all my ESOPs? All of that is visible. We also have an exercise workflow. If the company allows exercise to happen of vested ESOPs periodically, the employee can actually put in a request for exercise on the platform itself. The system actually is able to compute taxation. So employee needs to pay perquisite tax on the exercise, compute and display taxation to as and when an exercise is happening. And we have also integrated with payment gateways. So even the payment for the exercise price and or the tax can happen on the system itself. So I can submit a request for exercise. I can see what I've sort of submitted and the key details and the workflow in terms of processing. So when can I expect my exercise to get completed? What are the steps which are still pending from the administrator's side? And what is the end date by which I can expect to see credit of shares to my account? So that visibility is provided for employees as well. We also have a data room for employees. So the company can share certain documents which are relevant from an employee's ESOP perspective. So this can be FAQ surrounding ESOPs, the ESOP scheme document itself, and maybe any presentation talking about the company's prospects. We also have a fairly interesting employee engagement tool called an equity payslip. So this is like a salary payslip, which is relevant from a cash salary perspective, but specific to ESOPs. So this is something our system can generate and can be shared with employees every month or every quarter, depending on the vesting schedule. So as an employee, I can log in, I can get a sense of what my ESOPs are worth, what actually happened with respect to my ESOPs since the last quarter, how my vesting is sort of panning out, when my next vesting tranche will happen, and what is the end date for vesting, how long do I need to be in the company for my final vesting. Also displayed is how the share price of the company has moved, maybe over the last 5 years or since inception of the company across multiple different rounds. And with the share price movement and with the vesting schedule specific to an employee, how is the wealth creation panned out for an employee? So the longer I stay in an organization, the more I vest, and the more the share price increases, the more my wealth increases. So the wealth is at a certain quantum today. Now, this can also be projected to say, this is my last round valuation. I expect the company to raise funds at maybe 2x of this value, and then I expect an IPO to happen in the next 3 years at 3x of this value. So this line also starts trending automatically. So the employee is really able to understand, what their ESOPs are worth today, what their wealth is in the form of ESOPs today, what it can be in the future as well, and presents an argument to sort of retain and take the value home before the employee decides to do anything else. So that's very briefly about our platform itself. I will pause to and maybe have some questions on this as well. So over to you, Shalini.
Thank you, Vikram. I think that was a nice, crisp overview, and it does sound like a comprehensive system with thought beyond the basics. And these additional features with simulations and stuff do sound quite interesting. So thank you for that summary. Couple of quick questions, and I think I'll start with looking at the basic workflow itself. Now, given that there's a good amount of employee information, name, those kind of administrative things that need to come in, does your tool also link to popular HRIS tools?
That is correct. That's a fairly common request, which a lot of our enterprise customers ask for. For us, integration is possible. We are built API first. The benefit of integration primarily is that the live list of employees is always populated on our platform, and separations are marked automatically on the platform. So there is no manual process additionally required to do that. And there are other use cases as well, but these are the couple of use cases which we commonly hear from customers. Like I said, we are built API first. We can integrate with any HRMS which pushes data to us. We have sort of integrated with Darwinbox for a few of our customers in the past. We are in discussions with Bamboo HR, Zing HR, SuccessFactors as well. But yes, typically it's dictated based on the customer's requirements. And that is something where the customer also needs to involve the HRMS provider and have a tripartite conversation with us to implement. But yes, it's absolutely possible on our platform.
Perfect. That's great. What are the typical access personas that you have? I think you showed us the admin view, you showed us the employee view, but if there are additional, I mean, is there like an ex-employee view? Is there like a board member view, for example?
So there are quite a few personas from a cap table perspective, because information on the ownership of a company typically is shared with finance team, with the founders, with the existing investors, new investors, prospective investors as well. Even from an ESOP perspective, typically it's the HR administrator. There may be a separate view which may be required for the finance team on things like ESOP expense amortization or any specific reports which is required for their financial reporting and disclosures. So we are fairly powerful when it comes to management of user roles. So while we have a certain predefined roles here, custom roles can be created as well. So I can create a role which restricts access to the cap table and only provides access to ESOP. Or for the HR team, I can create a role only ESOPs, no access to cap tables sort of a thing. And not just that, every individual element of the platform, as you can see here, every module and every functionality which you see can be toggled on or toggled off with respect to a custom role created. So for example, I can create a role for the finance team only to access and confirm that the quantum to be paid on exercise has been paid. And then the exercise processing can happen. Similar role can be provided to the compliance team as well, just to say share issuance has been done. So it's very granular in terms of access and permissions from that perspective. But yes, the use cases will emerge as we sort of get more customers and speak to them.
Perfect. Perfect. And I also like the flexibility that you've built in, that this can be customized based on the role, based on the company. Thanks for that. I think let's talk a little bit about maybe one more document question, and then I'll move into some of my other questions. So you did show a payslip view, which was like I guess based on India standards. Some of my questions might be more in the European context. Apologies for that. So if there is and there's typically companies give out, one piece of document that you will need to declare as part of your taxes, right? And that varies depending from company to company and where they're headquartered, essentially. Can this be set up? Can this be custom made and set up as well?
So we have a few documents which are standard to the platform. So there is a certain grant letter. So when new grant is being triggered, there's a grant letter. The grant letter can have multiple addendums which can get executed or communicated to employees as part of the grant itself. The payslip is just there's no standard for it. It's something which we innovated. We are hoping it becomes a standard, which we are sort of creating. But that is more an employee engagement tool. From a taxation perspective, we have the workflows for computation of tax when an employee is exercising. Typically, in a lot of jurisdictions, the taxation event is exercise of ESOPs. So that typically nothing for an employee when a grant or vesting happens. But we can customize reports which can be pulled out by the HR team, and we can customize specific elements of this data room as well. So I can have maybe, like as you said, maybe a tax statement for employees which can be generated, which can be stored into this data room. It's more of a custom, sort of request. We have not heard that from companies as of now, but it is possible to do from a platform perspective. So we have the workflows for document generation. We have the data surrounding taxation, etc., which we collect as part of exercise. Now we just need to display it or create a document for displaying it in the data. So it is possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about transactions and sort of engagement with the employees, right? So if, there's a situation we'd like to do a shareholder vote, there's, want to split shares, some M&A transaction, right? So can all of that engagement also happen through the tool?
So let me cover it this way. So we capture information at a cap table level. So like I'm just briefly displaying the cap table here. All my shareholders are, the records are tracked. You can track email IDs for the shareholders, and you can communicate with the shareholders as well. So from a shareholder perspective, communication, sharing information, sharing access, all of that is possible. But seeking approvals from either the board of directors or shareholders, that is a part of a different product for us. So we are also creating a product to enable compliance with board management and with shareholder management. Typically the role of a secretarial department within a company. So we are creating a product specific to do that. I mean, that links into the other products as well. Actions on ESOPs and actions related to transactions on cap table also have a board impact. But we are creating that with the secretarial team, the compliance team as the core user. And that is a new product for us. It's still work in progress, but we hope to have a version out in the next quarter or so. But yes, absolutely, that's a very critical use case which we are looking to serve as well.
Perfect. I have a lot of more interesting questions, but I'll maybe in the interest of time, do one more. I think more in the context of, what's changing in the HR world today, right? There's a lot of talk about pay transparency, especially here in Europe. There are laws coming into place, which will require us to make sure that compensation across the board or across employee segments are a lot more equitable and fair. And if there are differences, then we will have to, as employers, be able to contextualize that, right? So in that background, I see that you have some analytics provision as well. Is there option to do, peer comparisons by role and, to make sure that we're equitably compensating? Because
absolutely.
Equity ESOP is slightly different compared to salary, right? In terms of treatment, It's not like apple to apple. So, sorry.
So no, absolutely. I think that's a very sort of critical requirement as we speak to a lot of rewards professionals specifically who are users of our platform. So to be clear, we only deal in the equity domain. So I will probably not have access to cash salary or variable or things like that. But we have a very solid customer base. We are pretty much a market leader in India and Southeast Asia. We have close to 1,800 companies using our platform across both these geographies. And that allows us to, really comment on, as you said, the benchmarking aspect specific to ESOPs and specific to equity compensation. Today, the way we are delivering that is through our consulting division. So it is a service offering as such. It's not a platformized offering, but that is a direction where we are headed. So data sciences and analytics is something which we are closely working on. So very shortly, or I'm hoping within the next year, we hope to have a product which anonymizes and which is able to really display for rewards professionals to say, if I am, let's say, a SaaS company, a technology company operating out of India, and I'm hiring a chief engineer, what should be the right, sort of equity compensation to give to this person, right? And we believe that given our position and given the records which we manage, we will be well positioned to actually give actionable analytics and actionable insights to rewards professionals on that. So currently a service offering, but we hope to platformize it. And as we grow larger, I think the data set grows larger, the value to rewards professionals also will grow. But specific to the equity domain, we are very clear that that is what we target.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Vikram.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Vikram, for the insightful Q&A. Coming to an end of the Demo 2023 edition, where we showcase need to leverage tech for ESOP management to attract and retain talent. I like to thank my gratitude to and extend my gratitude to Shalini for her time and effort. I thank Vikram and the entire team of Qapita for accepting our invite and showcasing their demos. Extended heartfelt gratitude to all the participants and joining in, and lastly to Archery for their support as always. Thank you. We'd love to host you soon.
Thanks a lot, Vanshita. Thanks, Shalin. Pleasure speaking.